Shabbat Shalom. Towards the end of the service, when we recite the Kaddish, I'll take a few extra moments to memorialize Nelson Mandela. The passing of Mandela and this week's Torah portion are connected in any case. Great political leadership is always about ensuring a better future for your people. I was in Ann Arbor over Thanksgiving. That's in Michigan. Apparently, there's only one thing to do in Ann Arbor on Thanksgiving. Not eat turkey. Attend the Ohio State-Michigan football game. Takes a bit of getting used to. These are two great universities dedicated to the tamer, more subtle, more intangible pursuits of higher learning. And it seems to me that the locals think only about this football game during the entire autumn, and they count down the days during the whole season, how many more days to the football game. And if you have to ask what football game, you're already irrelevant. Now, mind you, we're not talking about professional ball players. These are students, mostly teenagers, who run around a football field, cheered on not by fantasy football fanatics, but by a more rabid crowd of university students, university trustees, faculty members and administrators, and university alumni. 113,496 people attended this game in the freezing cold. Tens of thousands were students from both universities, but tens of thousands more were adults. I was sitting next to two geezers in their 80s, brothers who were hollering and jumping up and down as if their knees and hips had not been recently reconstructed. Somehow they recaptured 50 years of lost vitality during those 4 hours, and then somehow stumbled out of the stadium with their walkers and canes, exhausted by the excitement. High university officials hosted tailgate parties for state and national politicians. Major donors were wined and dined in toasty sweets protected from the elements of both nature and the nurture of the crowd. Here's what I've been thinking about all week. So much loyalty is generated by universities like Michigan. We spend, 1/20 of our lives in these universities, and yet the goodwill and gratitude that result often last a lifetime. And then I got to thinking, why this unbounded affection for our alma maters even decades later? What is the secret? If I can figure out what generates lifetime loyalties for our universities, maybe I can find a way to replicate that for our synagogues. Why do 4 years of education at Michigan generate such intense emotions in so many people, and 13 years of education in our synagogues generate in all too many people a desire to leave after the last child's bar mitzvah? I am intrigued, and I admit, envious of universities who can pry out of alumni such stunning financial contributions. And we who seek to attend to people for a lifetime, We rejoice with them, we weep with them, we mourn with them, we strengthen them, we educate them. Why can't we generate anywhere near the same emotional attachment that would translate into similar financial support? Since I've always believed that money follows values, our attachments come first, and money follows these attachments. I often think to myself, imagine if we could generate in our people a similar sense of gratitude. We would be in an entirely different place. We would have a much better shot at sustaining Jewish life for the present and for the future. And make no mistake, the main pitch of universities to their alumni is the future. At its core, the essential fundraising message of universities is give, and give generously, so we can do for the next generation what we did for you. Just to get a sense of the numbers. Last week, the University of Michigan announced a $4 billion fundraising campaign. $4 billion. One university. And in the announcement was precisely that message about the future. The chief financial officer clarified, a gift to the endowment is a gift that keeps on giving. The university specified that $1 billion, 25% of the hoped-for take, would go to student scholarships. The future. The university recruits students themselves to appeal to alumni. One of them said, I want other students to have the same help that I have had. And as the Michigan president emphasized, University of Michigan donors have always understood the importance of private gifts to the success of the university. So I was thinking, why not here? Really? I'm asking you to think about this, especially during this month when so many people give generous contributions to so many causes. Why don't Jews, alumni of synagogues that made them Jewish, taught them, instilled in them a sense of Jewishness, why don't they understand the importance of private gifts to the success of the community? Really, I'm asking you. Why do the very same people, the same Jews who feel such intense loyalty to their universities, not seem to care or care as much about this generation of synagogue students? Why don't they feel a similar sense of gratitude? Why is it not self-evident to them? In this week's Torah portion, Joseph finally reveals his identity to his brothers. After so much agony, so much pain, so much sorrow and disappointment, he says to them these immortal words, Ani Yosef, ha'od avi chai. I am Joseph. Is my father still alive? Joseph already knew that his father was still alive. The brothers had told him that on several occasions. What he meant was, is my father still alive for me? Does he still care about me? Does he remember me? Am I still part of the family? And am I part of the family's future? And after a dumbfounded silence from the brothers who couldn't believe what they were hearing, Joseph says, Ki lemechya shelachani Elohim. God sent me here to save lives. My task is to ensure our future, the future of our family, and the future of the Jewish family. We are at a phase in our lives now, says Joseph, that we must think of our responsibilities to our children and their children. We are no longer students. We are now the alumni of this family. And we will do whatever it takes to determine the fate of this family. And for this reason, we must reconcile. In reading Joseph's words to his brothers, we realize that the entire book of Genesis leads to this one moment, the survival of the family, the ensuring of the future. It is the reason for all of Joseph's travails and triumphs. And his father, Jacob, knows this too. When Jacob refused to send Benjamin down to Egypt at the demand of what they all thought was a cruel Egyptian ruler, Judah finally convinces his father to send Benjamin, Joseph's only full brother, with these words: Shilcha na riti, v'nakuma v'nelcha v'nechye v'lo namut. Gam anachnu, gam ata, gam tapenu. Send that kid Benjamin, send him with me, so that we will live and not die. All of us, you and our children. And Jacob relented because he understood that no matter what personal concerns he had, the needs of the future generation, the needs of the children come first. He had an obligation to ensure Jewish life for them, as he himself had received the promise from his father and his father from his father. And when the brothers returned to their father to tell them that Joseph is still alive, Jacob reluctantly agrees to go down to Egypt himself, rather than insisting that Joseph come back to see him and send provisions back to Canaan, because of the children and the grandchildren, as the Bible goes out of its way to emphasize. Thus, Jacob and all of his offspring came to Egypt. Every last one of them. He brought with him his sons, his grandsons, his daughters and granddaughters, all of his offspring. From generation to generation to generation, this is the inevitable, ineluctable cycle of life. If one generation ceases to care about the next one, the chain of life breaks and the cycle ends. They know that at universities. Do we?